Day, October 21st, 2025. The time is 6:03 p.m. Calling the meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Ackrey?
Here.
Commissioner Downing?
Here.
Commissioner Smith? Commissioner Tebby?
Here.
Mayor Washington?
Here.
We have our quorum and are duly qualified to conduct business.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First order of business is a public hearing on the common consumption area. The City of Covington previously considered a proposed ordinance to create a common consumption area, also known as a CCA, in downtown business district. That ordinance was pulled from consideration, and there is currently no ordinance pending before the board. Tonight's purpose is to gather public input from residents, businesses, and owners and other stakeholders on whether the city should move forward with a new or revised proposal in the future, and if so, what its boundaries, hours, safety measures, and operating conditions should be. I'm going to ask for brief remarks from Commissioner Tim Ackrey, who originally proposed the ordinance, and then we'll have a follow-up presentation by our legal counsel, Frank Schultz. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening. This could be the most we've had in a very long time. So, as most of you are aware, I'm the one who proposed the CCA. There's many reasons why I proposed it. I've talked to a lot of people in this room, either via email or social media or face-to-face, and just wanted to put a couple out there. This proposal will affect 134 businesses throughout the central business corridor on the footprint that you'll see here when Solicitor Schultz puts it up there on the screen. We're not closing streets. We're not looking to create a DORA district like what you see across the river in Cincinnati. This is simply to allow patrons of our city to move freely throughout the district with or without a drink, hopefully put more people on our streets looking into our retail as well as our restaurants and bars, and try to bring as many people to the central business corridor that we can. One of my concerns and one of my reasons for this is the obvious closing of the 4th Street Bridge, as well as the reconstruction of and construction of the Brent Spence Bridge. I get a little nervous that Covington will take a hit with people not wanting to come to Covington, because it will be harder to get here and harder to leave. So in a focus of trying to keep businesses where they are now, trust me, I'm not saying that the central business district needs help. It's thriving. Mainstrasse is thriving, Robley Point's thriving, Latonia's thriving. Covington is where we want it. We're just looking to ensure that it stays there and or gets better. Put my glasses on here, sorry. Lastly, we picked this location simply because of the amount of residents. There's roughly 440 residents in the proposed district versus any other district that you can imagine, Roebling Point or Mainstrasse. It doesn't mean Roebling Point and Mainstrasse won't become a CCA if this is successful and if we decide to move forward with this plan. But at this moment, it is the least amount of residents that will be impacted. This is mostly businesses and retail, restaurants, retails, and bars. So with that said, we'll go through the presentation, and then I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody. So thank you.
Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for your time tonight, and members of the public, thank you for being here. What I have for your consideration is an initial mock-up of a common consumption area. As most of you know, a common consumption area allows people to carry alcoholic beverages within a designated area, typically with clearly marked cups, while walking outdoors between participating establishments. Before we get started, I'd kind of like to reiterate what Commissioner Ackrey stated. No ordinance is being introduced tonight. There will be no vote tonight, and we haven't even began drafting a new version of the ordinance, so this is purely a preliminary. First, we have the proposed map in the Central Business District. As you can see, it starts all the way up from the south side of 4th Street, going down Madison Avenue, and ending on the north side right before it gets to 9th. It'll encompass 8th Street, 7th, 6th, West Pike Street, and then down East 5th Street and Tobacco Alley. One thing here, this is mainly on the sidewalks. There are no congregation areas. You might be familiar with Adora and the banks in Cincinnati, how the street's blocked off. That's not the case here. This is purely on the sidewalks. People can carry drinks in special cups between participating businesses along these sidewalks. The emphasis is on controlled, responsible mobility, being able to enable a flow of participants, seeing or interacting with our retail establishments, with our restaurants, with our bars, and other businesses. Some of the initiatives here, economic development, supporting downtown businesses, enhancing visitor experiences. This is a pilot concept. It's designed to measure the potential benefits against the risks and the negatives. It's possible that in the future, if the Board of Commissioners were to move forward with this and actually implement it, it's possible that this could be expanded to other areas of the city as well, including Main Strasse or Roebling Point, or if there are other areas that people want to propose or that our commissioners or mayor propose, that could be up for consideration. Economic demographics, Commissioner Ackery kind of touched on this already. We have approximately 134 businesses, which includes roughly 27 food and beverage establishments, 13 retail, and within the boundary here, or within the confines, roughly 440 residents. That's based off of the 2020 census estimate. Proposed hours of operation will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday would be 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Friday would be 5 p.m. to midnight. Same for Saturday. It would be optional, maybe on Mondays during Reds and Bengals games, to have it from 5 to 10 p.m. The plan would be for, if this were to move forward and create an ordinance, the actual hours of operation would not be set in the ordinance. What we would do is we would set it by a commission order so that the city can be flexible. If we were to put in an ordinance, it's going to take over a month to go in and amend that ordinance. But if we do it by commission order, then we can make that change within a week or 2 weeks. Frequently asked questions. Why was the Central Business District chosen? Commissioner Ackery kind of already touched on this. Established pedestrian environment. Comparatively speaking, there's a low residential footprint. There's existing public safety presence. Our officers are very prevalent around here. Business and property owner support. We already have special events that occur within this confines of this proposed district all throughout the year. I believe when we looked, I think there were 10 special event permits that were issued just for last year within this area. And it also allows us to collect data on pedestrian traffic, retail sales, restaurant and bar sales, and to see if, having a proposed CCA, if that would actually increase sales in that area. And, that'd obviously be a positive, and, Board of Commissioners and our elected officials could decide whether or not they wanted to expand this to other areas of the city to hopefully get that same benefit. Some more frequently asked questions: can patrons buy drinks in one location and take them to a separate location? No, but you can take an empty cup into a different establishment, just to cut down on waste. How will trash be handled? Responsibility of each establishment, as usual. Will there be signage? Yes. There will be requirements for city-approved signage that will actually be required to be placed in the windows of the participating establishments, possibly on the sidewalks. That will be a little bit more complicated. And we will make sure that the signage actually includes a map of the CCA area so that people know where they are and where they can go. Will law enforcement be present? yes, we still need to work out some additional details with police, but we'd be hoping that we could get increased patrols and potentially using bicycle officers as well. So, the purpose of this, we want community input at every step. Residents, business owners, visitors. An ordinance would still have to be drafted and reviewed. That's going to take some time to bring in all of your input. And then, after that, the actual implementation is still going to be 3 to 4 months out. We still have to decide. On the manufacturer for the cups, the designs for the cups, designs for the signage. Who we're going to use to produce those. So, even if we were to move on this immediately tomorrow, you're looking at implementation at the very earliest, probably March to April. If you have any questions, I'm sure the Board of Commissioners would love to have you reach out to them. City Manager Reddy is available, as well as myself and my ABC Administrator, Lydia Northcutt. We welcome community engagement. If you have any questions, please call or email us at any time, and I'll give back to you. Any questions for you, Mayor, any commissioners?
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Before we entertain questions from the Board of Commissioners, if you arrived late and you wish to address the Board of Commissioners, the sign-up sheet is at the entry on the small table. We ask that you please put your name down so we can consider your remarks. Hearing that, any questions from the Commissioners? You'll wait till after public comment? Gotcha. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Okay, before we have public comments, of course, we have to have rules. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. Please wait to be recognized by the presiding officer before speaking. Address all your remarks to the Board of Commissioners, not to individuals in the audience or to other speakers. Be courteous and respectful in all remarks. Avoid personal attacks, threats, profanity, or hateful language. From the audience, we ask no applause, cheering, booing, or interruption, so everyone could be heard clearly. As I mentioned before, please sign up at the table. When called upon, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and share your comments within your 3-minute time limit. Please focus your remarks on the concept, boundaries, activation times, safety, sanitation, or any other aspects you believe the city should consider. If you agree with another speaker, you may simply state your agreement to conserve time. City Commissioners may take note of all questions and comments for follow-up in future discussions and consideration by the board. So without objection, I'm going to suspend the rule for a 30-minute time limit on hearing people so we can hear everyone. So we're expecting a long night. So the first person up is Mr. Tom Hull. And the second person after him will be Mr. Cooper.
Long time no see, y'all. I'm Tom Hull. I live at 901 Baker Street. I have a couple things to say. First, I just want to say as a business owner who, got this very short, who relies very much on retail sales and events, to me, I see this as a benefit. My experience in other cities with similar concepts has been there is a thriving retail and that events tend to work better. I can tell you right now, it's a lot easier to set up alcohol for your event when it is already legally permitted to be consumed outside. As someone who has worked in the service industry and the alcohol industry in this area for close to 2 decades total, I can say that if people want to be drunk and a problem outside, they're going to do it whether or not you let them do it with a cup. If you don't do this, it is not going to deal with the fact that we already have people who misbehave when they're drinking. What this does do is it puts more officers and more regulation in place to hopefully try to tamp down on that. As a resident, to me it makes my city more walkable. which is huge. I want to be moving around on foot. I don't want to drive a car to go where I want. And I want to be clear, I rarely ever drink anymore. But for me, this means that when I go out with people who do, they're more likely to walk around than make me sit in a bar where I'm not ordering a drink. Finally, I do want to talk to my fellow business owners and residents, briefly if I may. This meeting is what we needed. This shows that the city wants to work with us and make sure that it is what we want if it goes forward. I really hope that everyone will consider that and walk away with questions that they reach out to the city and ask about. What I have seen is a lot of misinformation. Things that eventually people knew were true and still went around. And to me, as a citizen of Covington, I find that very bothering. So I'm hoping that everyone will do the same thing I am, which is listen to this, listen to what all of our community has to say, and listen to what they have to say, and make a longer conversation about whether or not this is a good fit for our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hull. Next speaker, Mr. Cooper. After that, Givens.
Thank you all, and thank you for your service on the commission. And Mayor, thank you. Brent Cooper, I'm CEO of C Forward at 5th and Madison, so this goes right by my building. I'm also a resident there, right at 5th and Madison. We moved C Forward to Covington in 2003. The Oddfellows building had burned down. There was no Braxton, there was no Hotel Cove, none of that was there. And no joke, in 2003, we spent an hour staring out the window and didn't see a single person walking down the street. The perception at that time was Covington wasn't safe. It was safe, but the perception was that it wasn't. Fast forward to today, where we have now Carmelo's, we have Braxton, we have Hotel Cove, all those great amenities, the Globe, now Winslow Whiskey, all of those wonderful things happening, and you see foot traffic constantly, and I love it. I've never complained about the noise. We live in the urban core. I love having people on the street, the vibrancy, and all of that was because of my fellow business owners and investors in this community, most of whom I believe are for this. I have the unique position of also serving as Chamber of Commerce president. Our chamber is the second largest chamber of commerce in the state. We have 1,750 members, many of whom are in this room today. I haven't heard from any that are against it, but very loudly for it. Finally, I will say, and I know Pat Frew from the Covington Business Council is here as well, and we stand with them in support of this. Finally, I would say, I've built my career on hiring really good people and listening to them. And the people that have invested a lot, who are here, many of them are here today, have really not just invested personal capital, but all their time, talent, treasure in this city. I'm one of them. I put millions of dollars. I own 4 properties in Covington, one at 507 and one at 501. And I would encourage you to listen to those voices who have really made a lot of commitment to this, and they just want to leave it better than they found it. The head of our tourism, so this is a Chamber of Commerce perspective, the head of our tourism is one of the best in this Commonwealth, and I think one of the best in the country. That's not just me saying it. That's her peers, folks on the Cincinnati side of the region, and she believes this is something that will help us. You mentioned the impact of the bridges. We've been lobbying on those bridges forever. They got to get done. But it's going to impact these businesses. This will help, I think, those businesses get through that. Furthermore, I would say the convention center is going to get a refurbish. And when that happens, those businesses are going to hit even more, especially on this corridor. That's why making it a welcoming place where people can walk outside. We've seen this in other communities where it does work. I recognize some of the concerns about it. I think let's have those conversations, as was just said, and we can work through those concerns. But when all of those folks are for it, the head of tourism, we're 2 in tourism for the state. When you have the folks with tourism and all those key business stakeholders involved, I think it's something that you should listen to, and I would encourage you to support this. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Janelle Givens, please. Next up after that is Mr. Quinn, Josh Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Janelle Givens. I am the Area Director for Epic Brands, which owns all of the Agave and Rise, as well as Tokyo Pie. I am also myself a citizen of Covington, have been for almost a decade. Worked in the restaurant hospitality industry for almost 2 decades as well. I think it's a great opportunity for the city of Covington. I think that not only the guests in our restaurants, our retail, but just the citizens of Covington have that opportunity to move around. There's a lot of our guests that even when they come into Covington Agave and Rye or Tokyo Pie, which just opened, that have said, I wish you had something like we have on the banks downtown. I have also worked on the banks myself during the Dora, and I understand what there could be as far as, restrictions and concerns. However, I think especially something to consider is when we had up here that there's extra police coverage. Me, when I had worked on the banks during that Dora, there was very little police coverage downtown. Before, after Bengals games, before and after Reds games. So I think that is why they're seeing some instances that they're having over there. However, if we were able to take those measures here in Covington, I see that would be a different situation, as well as it only being on sidewalks. I think it's a really great opportunity. Again, as gentleman number one stated, if they're going to be drunk in public, they're going to do it regardless if we have a law or not. And I think it's just a lot better of a way to really, truly unite the city of Covington, just have more people walking along our streets, coming to our side of the river where we have a lot more local businesses and family-owned companies, privately owned companies, than there is maybe downtown or across the bridge or in Columbus where we also have, they call it Dora as well. So I really think that this would be beneficial. Could be a lot more jobs as well for even retail, restaurant, police department. I really think that it's a really good thing for the city of Covington to consider. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Quinn. And then after that, it'll be Jake Rouse.
Mayor Washington and members of the Board of Commissioners, my name is Josh Quinn, and I'm the Product Development Director for the Northern Kentucky Convention Center and Visitors Bureau, otherwise known as Meet NKY. For those who may not be familiar with our organization, we are Northern Kentucky's official tourism and convention services organization. Our mission is to promote, manage, and develop a destination to attract visitors while balancing the needs of residents and businesses. Our President and CEO, Mrs. Julie Kirkpatrick, can't be with us tonight. However, she wanted me to submit a letter on her behalf expressing our full support for the establishment of a common consumption area in the Central Business District. I have the letter of support and I'd like to submit it for record. However, before I do that, I'll briefly summarize the letter and its key points. We believe it will enhance the visitor experience and allow visitors to spend more time and encourage more spending in the downtown area. We see tourism and marketing benefits. Visitors are always seeking authentic and walkable downtowns. Covington already offers this type of environment. A CCA will create a well-defined boundaries and create a marketable experience for visitors attending conventions, festivals, and riverfront events. Meet NKY is always eager to create future collaboration opportunities to drive additional foot traffic and increase year-round activity. Finally, we are committed to responsible implementation. Meet NKY fully supports any effort to monitor, regulate, and enforce all laws to ensure a safe and positive environment for residents and visitors. So we encourage you to support this measure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Jake Rouse. Next up after Jake will be Bill Whitlow.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission. Truly appreciate the time. What an awesome turnout. I just wanted, as co-founder and CEO of Braxton Brewing Company.
Can you state your full name and address?
Sorry, Jake Rouse at 27 West 7th Street.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
As co-founder and CEO of Braxton Brewing Company, a business that produces a lot of alcohol and is responsible for arguably most of those 10 special event permits that exist in the Central Business District, I will say that I've had a lot of conversations about what this could look like and how it could go. Genuinely speaking, I am excited about anything that will drive economic development to this city. I think what we've done over a decade collectively, everyone in this room, should not go unnoticed, because I remember picking up heroin needles the first year that we were in business without any foot traffic. I understand that, and I understand that it's real. So in general, I am truly supportive of what a CCA could mean. That being said, my request of the Commission of the Board is that as we move forward, that those that are willing to participate in the implementation of this are being asked to do so. because through the implementation is what's going to dictate whether or not this is successful for businesses that have poured their lives into making Covington great. And I think that ultimately, if we get the right people in the room to talk through how this actually comes to life, it can be truly, truly beneficial for everybody involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitlow, and after Mr. Whitlow, looks like Frank Hulefeld.
Hi, Bill Whitlow of Winslow Distillery at 412 Madison Avenue. So a alcohol producer in the proposed district. There's been a lot of good points being brought up already, and I did have a few things I wanted to bring up, and one kind of rides the coattails of a little bit of others, but there's people having concerns about DORA, Society of the Banks, how it's caused some issues and things. The problem areas I've seen of DORAs are ones where there are large congregation areas. Other cities in Kentucky have had a lot of success with it. Bardstown just went through it in the past year. I was down there for the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, talked to a lot of their operators, and they've had massive success with it. Fort Thomas has been enjoying it. Bellevue's been enjoying it. And especially in Bardstown, I was told that it's not a lot of the locals who are taking advantage of this. It is a lot of tourists coming in, being able to grab a drink and then taking it somewhere else on their way to go to another restaurant, and then maybe they pop into a boutique. They, instead of sitting on their phone Googling where they're going to go next or finishing their drink, they can take it with them and then maybe end up in a boutique buying a shirt from somebody. Overall, those sorts of things are going to be positive for business generation in this area, we hope. Like I said, in Bardstown, they've done great. And to echo what Tom said earlier, bad actors are going to be bad actors. Just because you tell people they can't have alcohol in the streets, the people who want to take alcohol in the streets are going to. What this allows is for good actors, the upholding citizens, to be able to do that, all the tourists coming in, to be able to go through the districts and hit different places. Also, the other big point is this is a growing trend in other cities. Covington has always been a progressive city and going for business positive. I believe this is a business positive and a growing trend that Covington should at least think about and consider more. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hulefeld. Next up after Mr. Hulefeld will be Mr. Frew.
Frank Hulefeld, 728, 730, 734 Madison Avenue. Mr. Mayor, Councilman, thank you guys for your time. I own the Madison Theater. I just want to say I think this is a great idea. Roughly 40% of the people that come to our venue, and we're averaging about 6,000 to 7,000 people a month now, roughly 40% of them, and we can see by when they buy the pre-sale tickets where they come from, roughly 40% of them are from 50 to 100 miles outside of Covington. So a lot of people are coming here for the first time. And the comments I get about the city, people love Covington. You know, our main competition is up in Clifton. And when people come down here, they're like, oh man, it's great here, it's safe here, we feel comfortable here. I love the idea of people being able to come to some of the restaurants here, walk down to our venue and have a drink. And I'm a big proponent of Covington. I grew up here. I started my first concert venue in the city when I was 24. And I love Covington, and I think this is going to be a good thing for us. And I love the idea of people being able to come from other cities and walk down and have drinks. In terms of worrying about bad actors, I've had a lot of experience with the Covington police, and they've been so dope. They deal with a lot of people, and they've always been so good to the people that are bad actors, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm in full support of this. And the last thing I would say is I think we should all focus in the future on how we can put more energy into working together and doing more special events in the business district. And I think it'll be a good thing. And I feel great about the future, and I'm 100% in support of this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Pat Frew, and then after Pat, it'll be Mr. James Schaefer.
Mayor Washington, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak. As you said, I'm Pat Frew, Executive Director of the Covington Business Council, located in the River Center building in Covington. Our board voted unanimously yesterday to support the City of Covington's proposal to create a common consumption area. We also support increased police patrols commencing at the outset of this pilot program. Our river cities, other river cities, we mentioned a few of them, but also Newport and Dayton have also adopted successfully and implemented these programs. And this isn't something that we would see as a panacea. This is just another solution to help our bars and restaurants continue to grow. There's also been the idea of the sip and stroll concept. We need more retail in Covington. This can be a great way, we think, to integrate the bars and restaurants with our retail establishments, and hopefully we can grow those as a result of this. At the end of the day, Covington's vibrant entertainment scene has been and remains a critical element in the city's economic success. And this has been talked about, but as a time where we enter a challenging area with bridge construction, we need to do, we think, everything we can do in our power to help our bars and restaurants continue to grow and thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frew. Mr. Schaefer. After Mr. Schaefer, it'll be Kara Ackery.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is James Schaefer. I live right across the street at 19 West Pike Street. It's my home and my business, and I'm going to be a bit of a negative Nelly here. As you sort of all said, I think Covington is thriving. We've all seen that. That includes the bars and the restaurants. It also includes the hospitality sort of industry writ large. We're seeing retail kind of really taking root downtown, despite the predations of Amazon for the first time in decades. And we're seeing new things open up as well. There's a Witchy Cafe opening up down Madison. There's a romance bookstore opening on Pike Street. There's a D&D Cafe on 6th Street. This is a sign that Covington is doing well. People want to be here. They think it's cool. They think it's safe. And I think that is a sign that what we have been doing is working. I think we should not overstate, despite the idea that there are some back actors that we can't do anything about, that Covington also has a public intoxication problem. I sort of took a photo this morning, or Saturday morning, when I cleaned up vomit outside of my shop, 4 feet from the sign inviting people to come to this meeting. About a month and a half ago, there at 2 in the morning, an incredibly intoxicated man tried to get into our shop and instead fell through the door of the advertising firm right next to us. This is a world-renowned advertising firm, along with the regionally recognized artists in this region. He left blood and glass on the door, passed out on the sofa, wandered down the street sort of a few hours later. Now, you guys have an important job. The downside of important jobs is that you make important decisions that are going to matter. I don't think that if we move forward on this, we are going to see a catastrophic problem. I don't think this is going to become the banks with a war zone in the street, but I do think we're going to see imperceptible changes that can add over time. My concern with this, unless there are very clear metrics for what is success and what is failure, is that we continue to stumble forward, and then in 5 and 10 years, we see that instead of having world-renowned advertising firms, instead of having artists, instead of having D&D cafes, we've got a lot more dive bars. We've got a lot more frat parties. We've got people coming in as tourists, but coming here specifically because they know this is a place to party and drink. Maybe that's a choice we want to make, but I think it would be foreclosing a future where Covington is really the destination in the area. This is a cool place. We could be sort of better than just the places that are bars. It sounds like I am in the minority here, but maybe that's a reason that there are only a few residents in this region. And I hope we kind of move forward in a way that makes everybody happy. Thank you all.
Thanks, Mr. Schaefer. Ms. Ackery. After Ms. Ackery, it'll be Jim from number 1 Riverside Place.
Mayor Washington, honorable members of the Commission, Madam City Manager, and Mr. City Solicitor. My name is Kara Ackery. I reside at 1034 Russell Street, but I'm speaking on behalf of my business, Scarlet Begonias Flower Truck at 118 West 15th Street here in Covington. Those of you that know my flower truck and our business model, we are dependent upon the relationships that we've established with other local businesses here in the city. Our trucks pop up on Wednesdays and Saturdays with the other small businesses here. Wednesdays we focus on women-owned businesses. We call it Woman Crush Wednesday. And on Saturdays, we're usually out at some of the bars and restaurants where people tend to congregate and linger for several hours. The Central Business District is actually our second best revenue generating district behind Main Strasse. And I would actually be inclined to bring the truck out in the evenings and expand my business model further if the CCA district is actually implemented and then potentially expanded upon. And here's why. In this district alone, I've sold out the truck here 3 times at night. 2 of those events were with our friends at Ripple when we did night market. We did a spring and a winter night market. Both of those nights were incredibly successful. The retail businesses here on Pike Street and some of the adjoining streets were also open that evening. When people strolled the entire street, we sold out really quickly. The other was the Arcade Festival, and I appreciate that that's a festival format under different parameters and different permits. But still, it shows that the foot traffic that came through was a huge spark for my retail business. That being said, I understand and appreciate that there's a lot of enforcement, litter concerns from other neighbors and residents that live here, and I get that. I feel like after knowing what's contained in the proposal, what's being talked about, I feel that those will be addressed to the satisfaction of everybody that lives in this district. I don't see this district being something like the banks. In fact, I see it being quite the opposite, with our neighbors and friends and residents enjoying the full benefits, both from a revenue standpoint and from a gathering and congregating type of standpoint as well. That said, I will yield my time back to other members of my friends and neighbors and Scarlet groupies here in the audience who are looking to testify. And also, I should have said at the beginning when I spoke that I'll clear the room, full transparency. I am the wife of Commissioner Ackery. Thank you for your time. I yield my time back, and I'll make myself available for questions afterwards if you need me to. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ackery. Jim, and after Jim will be Alyssa Atkins.
Jim City, 1 Riverside Place, and thank you very much for having us together today. Based on my address, I live down, I guess you would call it Riverside Point, so we're down by Smoke, Justice, and all the other places. We're thrilled with the opportunity that you guys are going to, propose and get started. The hope would be that it's successful. It's been successful in a lot of different places, as many of you have already spoke about, and that it would expand down that way. And so we're thrilled about the good news, or the people that are saying some good things about it, and we see a great opportunity to maybe move it down and do different things that way. I will also yield some of my time because I don't want to repeat what everybody else has already said, and we appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Alyssa? And after Alyssa, Sergio, you'll be up, but you're going to pass. Gotcha.
Alyssa Adkins. I live on 2112 Howell Street in Pieselberg, but Sergio and I also own Oya on MLK here. I'm going to be honest. When we came in here, we thought this was a roll call sheet, so I wasn't planning on speaking. Obviously, we don't come to a lot of these, but this is an exciting topic, and we wanted to hear all of the comments. And being a business owner here on MLK, we're not within the parameters of what we're talking about now, but we do see the benefits of it, and we're excited for the initiative, and we're looking forward to see what happens from here.
Thank you.
Oh, and Sergio's not going to be talking.
I will. I'll leave that alone. Okay, Dustin, and then after Dustin, appears to be Will Hodge.
Good afternoon. My name is Dustin Steffen. I live at 532 Watkins Street. I work as a doorman at Main Strasse Village Pub. Now, sitting up here, I'm a bit concerned because we've had business owner after business owner come up here and speak about the economic benefits of this change. But not one single person has talked about the workers who actually make their money and what benefit the workers are actually going to get from these type of changes. because I think that you're going to add, potentially thousands of negative interactions with the doormen and women that work in the city and the bartenders. And we're going to have to, take the brunt of the majority of those interactions because, as we all know, people who are inebriated aren't very reasonable and they do not like rules at all. And speaking to a lot of the proponents of this measure, they've made two main promises to me. And what the two that they are is that we would make more money and that this would make my job easier. So what I want to know is, how is this going to make me more money and how is this going to make my job easier? Because I don't see a direct path into either of those. I am going to yield the rest of my time back. I don't have a ton to say, mainly because I have to get to work right now. So.
Thank you. Will, and then Tom from Russell Street.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you again. My name is Will Hodges. I'm the owner of the Well Covington at 8 West 7th. Each one of y'all received an email from me today, all the same. Mr. Ackery, thank you so much for responding. Jim as well. I'm not here tonight to say anything besides give a little bit in this room about my experience. I ran a successful bar in the Banks community in Cincinnati since 2012, and I've seen firsthand Open Container, how it can reshape a neighborhood. As part of this and I was a part of that conversation in 2015 when the bank started discussing the Door District and watched its implementation in 2020. While it certainly increased sales, it also brought added challenges, crime, loitering, and heavy need for police presence, more trash, putting strain on cleanup and city services. And not every business benefited equally. Some thrived, others struggled with change in traffic, parking, and the type of crowd that would begin to affect the area. Those experiences taught me that this kind of policy isn't automatically good or bad. It just has to fit the neighborhood. And Covington isn't an entertainment complex. It's a living, breathing community with historical character, small businesses, and residents that want balance. Our downtown is on the rise. People choose to move here, open businesses, raise families. That success is built on charm, walkability, and the feeling of safety and community. An Open Container District changes that tone. It shifts the vibe from a neighborhood to a party district. That is not what makes Covington special. I'm not going to outline the questions. Each one of you have them in my email. And I thank you again, Mr. Ackery, for your response to me. I'm going to yield right now, and I am with Jake on this, that slow process needs to be addressed when actually doing what we are proposing to do. I'm not saying I'm in favor and I'm not against this. I am more in favor of this now before I walked into this room. I believe in this city. I believe in what is happening here, and I believe that we can build something special that feels authentic, welcoming, sustainable, without rushing into change that shifts the identity of what Covington is. Thank you for your time and consideration, folks.
Thank you. Tom, then after Tom will be Chuck Patton.
Sorry?
After you, there'll be Chuck Patton.
Oh, very good.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Tom Dalzell, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My wife and I reside at 910 Russell Street and own the properties next door at 902 and 904. So we're residents and owners of rental properties and an Airbnb in that area. While I've been forbidden from applauding, as we all have at this meeting, as a resident of the area, I do want to applaud all of those here, both city leaders and the business owners, who have made this an incredible place for my wife and I to move 3 years ago, and a wonderful place that our guests and tenants absolutely love. The vibrancy of this community are to be applauded, and we're so grateful for that. We've also enjoyed great service from the local police. As a son of a retired police officer, I really value that, and we've enjoyed a great deal of safety in the community in which we live. As a professor of entrepreneurship at the University of Cincinnati, I've had the privilege of helping thousands of companies in the area create jobs by running our consulting program over the last 20 years. And again, I support small business. So in general, that's the bias that I bring to my comments. I'd speak now with all of that in mind as a resident and landlord in the area, and just a couple of concerns that I would have. Overall, I believe that this can be of benefit. and I certainly want to do things that support small business and the vibrancy of our area. That said, in the last 3 months alone, we've had 2 incidents of trespassing on our properties and 2 incidents of theft. All of those have been reported to the police, and they've been responsive. Thankfully, there were no major damages, and the threats were minor. My concern, however, is that people use, particularly the north end of Russell Street, where our homes are, to access the games across the river. So if they're willing to walk as far as the Red Stadium or Bengal Stadium, clearly they're willing to park in the free spots that are outside our properties to access this new corridor that's being proposed. So one thought that might be of interest would be to provide resident-only parking in some areas that might be impacted by this. I'm also concerned about waste and safety in the area so that we continue to enjoy the clean and vibrant neighborhood that we're in. I would concur with those that state that Covington has positioned itself in a premium way. The restaurants, the bars, the retailers, Covington is the Brooklyn to New York. To Cincinnati, we are the Brooklyn. I hear people in the area talking about it that way. I believe that that's the position that we've chosen, and I think that our actions should reflect that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Chuck will be James Grizzle, if I'm reading that correctly.
My name is Chuck Patton, 25 West 8th Street. I am the owner and proprietor of Perfect Day Cafe. Want to thank everybody for the support and bringing up this measure. Tell you a little bit about this. I heard a story, had the privilege of listening to Bill Samuels speak about why Kentucky bourbon is as amazing as it is. And his statement was the fact that it's because we committed as distilleries to growing the pie and not the pieces. I think one of this has been an unbelievably difficult time over the past 5 years for restaurants, including these bridges, which may have been just as disruptive as COVID in some instances for us. And so being able to have a tool that this makes, gives us an opportunity to compete and brings people in here. About 85% of our customer base comes from outside of the primary zip codes within Covington. So that is very, very important that our business community thrives. I'm also a resident of Covington as well. So I just wanted to say, I do think there's some things that we need to take a look at. I really appreciate the opportunity for both businesses and residents to be involved in this. And I think if we do this right, it can be a very positive program. So thank you. Sorry about the puns.
Thank you. James. Then after James, it appears to be Sam.
My name is James Grizzle. I live on 525 Russell Street, about a block away, in the Muddergutes neighborhood. It's a neighborhood. It's not a party district. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm against this at all, but I look at like the banks. That's a party district, like badly so. I look at 4th Street Live. There's no soul there. We have a great soul. This is the best neighborhood in the Cincinnati area, in my opinion. It's lovely. I just don't want to become that. Kind of sounds like talking to other people or hearing other people. It doesn't sound like it's going to be that, but still like fills me with a little bit of unease. So the biggest thing though is the trash. Like every single Saturday, I walk to a Saturday morning market, and the Mother of God Church parking lot's absolutely filled with liquor bottles of all sizes. I don't think people are pre-gaming to go to mass, and I don't necessarily see West 6th or Second Story out there cleaning it up. So saying that like the businesses are in charge of cleaning up all that trash isn't going to happen. Like there's like, what do you say, 35 businesses and 500 residents. We know who's going to clean that up. I think there should be some consideration for trash and trash pickup. Also, if we look back at the map, like the whole area of 6th Street in Washington, a lot of that's parking lots. Like most of that is parking lots. That all kind of looks like congregation areas to me, personally. Also, like, if all of 6th Street is a parking lot, there's only one business there, or one building. Why is all of 6th Street included in that? That seems like not necessarily a great plan, personally. But overall, thanks for including us and getting feedback. That's it.
Thank you. Sam, then Mitch, just a reminder to the audience, we're coming down to the last few people. If you haven't signed up and you wish to sign up, please do so, because we'll be concluding the public hearing here shortly.
Good evening, all. My name is Sam Chris. I live on 247 West 8th Street. I work across the street at Old Town Tavern Bar. I share a few of the concerns that a lot of folks have here that I think we all think is a good idea, but the implementation of it needs to be done right. And when I'm looking at this map, it's a pretty massive amount of space that just for a pilot program, that being implemented safely and cleanly is going to be a challenge. Secondly, the proposed operating hours, telling, I don't know much, but I know drunk people, telling people at 12 a.m. on a Friday or Saturday that, hey, you can't have that outside now is going to be a massive problem for business owners, for police, and the like. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Thank you all.
Thank you. Mitch, and after Mitch, it'll be, looks like Mr. Bradford.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. Mitch Ahrens. I've got Carmelo's on 434 Madison, Beards and Bellies on 8th Street or 7th Street, and also have a rental property in West Covington. Very invested in this community, and I see an incredible opportunity here for local businesses, not just the bars and restaurants. I think a huge lacking in the community right now is retail, and a big drive for retail is foot traffic, and I think that this is definitely the first and best step in helping increase that. I've both visited and lived in areas that have had open container policies, one being New Orleans. I think everybody's immediate reaction to that is Bourbon Street. People forgetting that is 1/20th of New Orleans and that the rest of the city is not like that. I think there's a very glaring comparison going on now where Covington is not other areas, and the way that we are looking to do things is very different from the way that things are done across the river. I think that there's some great local communities, Milford being one, that have done it right and has...
Shannon, your mic's live.
Commissioner
Smith, your back's live.
Yeah, obviously there are some concerns. To reiterate what Jake said, I know Billy, my business partner, and I are very interested in helping in any way that we can to make sure this is done right to benefit everybody. So,
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Bradford. Will the clerk please bring the list?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Anthony Bradford. I run a company called AM Titan. We're at 6 East 5th Street. Very similar to Melissa. I thought I signed up for roll call, but since I'm here, I give my thoughts. I'm in full support of anything that's going to drive economic growth for our community. Running restaurants is extremely difficult. Running bars is extremely difficult. And we see them go out of business all the time. So I feel like this is a good move that will separate us from every other city around the area to help drive economic growth. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Bradford. Next person, Atkins. Ms. Atkins. And after Atkins, our last speaker will be Mr. Bill Stone.
Hello, my name is Abby Atkins. I live at 2006 Glenway Avenue, obviously not part of the Common Consumption District, but I also am a waitress of many years at Kung Fu Choose in Mauritia, which is right on Madison, so definitely be directly impacted. I am, as a citizen, very much in support, but I wanted to offer a unique perspective. Sorry, guys, I do not like public speaking, but I am a preventative public health specialist in Montgomery County, which is Dayton, Ohio. But I drive an hour to work and still live here because I love this community. but I do offer the perspective. I work very close with the DORAs in Montgomery County. There are 7 of them as the Policy and Advocacy Subcommittee Chair on the Montgomery County Prevention Coalition. We have put in many protective measures in place because we have found that a reoccurring issue is that youth in the area is getting access to alcohol much, much easier because there is so much happening. I understand that it would be wonderful for businesses, and we do also understand in the preventative health world that banning things does not make them safer. Regulating them is actually what makes them safer. So as a citizen, I am very much in support of this, but I do ask the board to recognize that protective factors must be put in place specifically for the youth in these communities to counterbalance the risk factors that are going to be put in place. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Stone.
Thank you. My name is Bill Stone. I'm at 832 Bakewell Street. I am more in support of this than I was when I walked in the door. But I also have some concerns. My concerns are I think that the pilot mat is a little bit too large, and so I'm in agreement with maybe shrinking the pilot program. And I am also, I think that the image of Covington is not just bars and restaurants and a place to get a drink. And a place to go home and, tear it up. I mean, Covington is different now. And I think that we should embrace that image of Covington and not be apologetic about it, pardon the pun. And also, too, I think that we're forgetting the brand new neighborhood that is also going to have an entertainment piece. And so I think that all of the entertainment areas, Main Strasse, Metagata, Central Business District, Groveland, and the new neighborhood should be under consideration before a program like this is, fully embraced. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. At this point, that'll conclude the public comment section of the hearing. Vice Mayor Smith is joining us via Zoom, and we want to hear from her, please. Then we'll have some questions from and statements from the other commissioners, possibly.
Thank you.
That's correct.
Yes. All right. Spectacular. And sorry, y'all. I am sincerely disappointed that I could not be in the meeting because I have COVID. This is one of the meetings more than most that I wish I could be at because for those that don't know, I am a business owner as well. I have a vintage bottle shop within the Central Business District. My firm is in the Central Business District. My home is in the Central Business District. And most of what I do is in that area. So this was very important to me to listen and to learn and to hear. And again, I'm sorry I couldn't be there because I have a lot that I did want to share. The first thing that I'm going to say is I completely understand all of the concerns. Obviously, I do because I'm impacted in every way that anyone that has spoken could be. Again, it's my home, it's my business, it's my livelihood, it's everything. So I understand it, and I know that none of us are sure how it's going to go, but again, that's just part of being an entrepreneur in general. We all know when we start a business, there's no guarantees here, but we have an opportunity here to try something, and it might not be perfect. It might not even work, but we can take that risk. And as entrepreneurs, we know that inherently if we get into a business, it's a risk, and you have the city of Covington backing this one. That's a really rare thing to have an entire city backing a risk that can potentially benefit us. And the second thing I did want to say, and I did want to acknowledge Commissioner Ashley. I know that you proposed it, and we apologies, but it didn't initially work out, and we brought it back, and she did the groundwork, and you asked some questions. The second thing that I'll share is my shop in the Central Business District is Revival, and I think everyone is very how we can be supported as owners. And I want to tell everyone, whether you're a resident, a business owner, a citizen, whatever, I'm in the same boat as you are as we move through this. So any of your concerns, I'm not just listening, I feel while you're navigating. So one, thank you, Mr. Ackley, and I know you don't have a ton of time, it's been a long night, and I've got notes here, and I'll move as quick as I can. Just a side note to the city in general, I have a second location of Revival in another city in Kentucky. It is just a very nominal fee to participate in some sort of DORA, and it has generated obviously some revenue that we can use for other things. And I'm the last person to suggest any sort of additional fees on our businesses, but it was just a note that I wanted to share. I also want to sincerely thank the CDC and the NKY for taking the time to debate it and engage business owners. I'm a big part of the CDC. I'm a member of NKY, and I want to thank Elizabeth Patrick because she took a lot of time to engage a lot of people to sincerely consider what's being proposed this evening. And just a couple other things that I did want to share is that I personally do support this. I support a pilot project, and everyone that's engaged with it, and we can always get feedback if we want to see a change, if we want to stop it out, if we want to pause it, we can do that. But we're not going to know whether it's going to work unless we take a chance. And I think here we have an opportunity to take a chance. We have an entire city behind us to do it and figure out if this might be something that will substantially support us moving forward. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I did want to note some folks that were in opposition. I actually have empathy because I was neighbor to some folks that were doing some projects that were I'll just say that there were all-night concerts and a lot of trash and a lot of vomit out front of the house. But we talked, and we had conversations, and we made it better, and it's going to be a process. And as we navigate all these projects moving forward and all this, we've got a lot of obstacles, but if we sit together as a community and we have a conversation and we figure out what works and what doesn't, ultimately it's going to work. And it's all just about communication. And the thing that I just want to make sure that everyone knows is that these business owners in this room, the majority of the taxes that pay for the services that we have in the city come from you all in this room, your payroll taxes, your business taxes. It pays for everything in the city, and we know that. And I want to make sure that everyone across the city knows that and respects the investment that you've made, the sacrifice and the risk that you've made. And I want everyone in this room to know that I am a business owner. I understand if this doesn't work, I'm going to be the first person to cut it off. I'm going to be the first person that is sitting on the street adversely impacted by it. And I'm willing to take that risk because I want to see it work. That's what I wanted to share. If it doesn't work, I'm not going to support it. But at this juncture, with this sort of momentum and these folks, I think it's good. So just wanted to say thank you all so much for taking the time to come out here. I know there's so many. Thank you for letting me have a couple minutes. And that's all I've got. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Glad to see you. You're looking well, and glad you're not sitting. Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, I'm thankful you're not sitting beside me. Nothing personal. I just don't want to be getting COVID. All right. Hearing from the Vice Mayor. Thank you, Madam. Other commissioners, I believe Commissioner Downing wants to go, and then Commissioner Ackery, and then possibly Commissioner Tebby. Commissioner Downing.
I have a handful of questions that I'm hoping that I can use to discuss with my fellow commissioner. This is an initiative that the city has considered in the past, and usually it boils down to cost. And I think that the approach that you're taking is one that's demonstrated that it's worked in other cities. But I think that as we're approaching a pilot program, anytime that we are, I think that Commissioner Smith talked about risk, and I think that when we think about the business owners that are in the area, they've already kind of implemented the risk, and now kind of the environment is changing around them. And so when we think about the financial impact, like how we're going to manage through this, when we think about the coverage for policing, for signage, for public works, so that way the residents and the businesses aren't going to be the ones that need to clean up after. Have we started working through the details around those costs so that we can make sure that we outline that for the broader public and help ease some of those concerns that they are not going to end up having that burden?
Commissioner Ackrey.
So we have talked about that. We've spent time with the police department, specifically chief, who doesn't think this will add any additional officers to the area because it's already patrolled. There is talk with Public Works that there's possibly going to have to be a trash pickup on Saturday morning on a specifically busy night. All of that will be slightly offset. We don't know the exact cost, obviously, at this point because we are still working through all the details, but a lot of that cost will be offset with the purchase of the Dora cups by the businesses. I'm not sure. I know Shannon mentioned something, or Vice Mayor Smith mentioned something about a fee to be part of this. That was never conversations, but we can absolutely discuss that as well. So there are details still to come. I will point out, and I know Commissioner Downey and I talked earlier, one thing we will be putting together is an advisory committee of probably folks from this room, not just people that are for it, but people that are against it as well, to ensure that if we do move forward, those rules of engagement will be understood by the businesses that are going to be participating. So a lot of your questions, I think, will be answered once we get input from the local businesses and or residents.
Commissioner Downing.
If you'll indulge me a couple more questions.
Go right ahead, sir.
So inevitably, if we go forward with this pilot, there are going to be businesses that are going to be excluded. I think that the way that you've drawn the map is to maximize the number of businesses that would want to be able to participate, to allow them to participate. But inevitably, we're going to have, with no definitive, like this is the time frame in which we're doing the pilot, there will be new businesses that want to come in because they see that other businesses are benefiting from this. They're going to want to. Have we started to create structure around the way that other businesses would be able to tack themselves onto this district?
Yes. I think somebody spoke about 6th Street. The reason why we extend it down 6th Street is obviously to include West 6th and 2nd Story, but it also allows a direct corridor into Main Strasse. If this pilot goes well, we can simply add another block to the CCA, which then connects to Main Strasse. We also have included Tobacco Alley, which will allow us to get towards Roebling Point. To your point of some businesses are excluded, yes, I apologize for that, but we can't make the whole city a CCA, so we've focused on the areas that are most concentrated with retail and retail businesses, type, whether it's bar, restaurants, or shops.
So if, assuming that this goes forward, and we're able to establish this district, have you started outlining the process through which other districts would then be able to apply for that same sort of DORA status? Is that part of ultimately the plan to create different connectivity points or different DORAs within the city? Is this a pilot to see whether or not this works, or is it a pilot to see whether or not this works with the purpose of others within the city?
It's a little of both. We want to see if it works. If the CCA works here, we would look at expanding. There wouldn't be an application per se. We would simply bring it back to the board, add it to the ordinance, and expand the ordinance to include. That's correct, Frank? To add other DORAs or CCAs.
So that's correct. Right now, the city has a very large entertainment district, and the way that we utilize that now is we utilize it to requiring special event permits. So we would have to, basically, we would have to create a similar ordinance, just like the one for used here in this district, and do the same for any other areas.
The last question I have is one that one of our speakers brought up, Dustin from who worked in the Main Trust area, and he talked about kind of the frontline workers that are going to have to deal with this. And I think that there was another speaker that spoke to something very similar. And I think that signage, communication, and the way that we are engaging with the public on these topics is going to be critical for the success. I do not yet know whether or not I am fully in favor or whether or not I'm against. I'm leaning more in favor today than I was before I came in today. But I think that if I were to establish kind of where I'm at, I'm in that let's go slow and make sure that we have every single detail outlined and established as clearly as possible. Because if we move forward with this, I want to make sure that there is, to all the residents and all of the business owners who talked about concern about losing the part of our city that makes it that, I want to make sure that we have every metric that we are going to need to determine success outlined in advance, so that we can communicate that back out, and we can make sure that if we are going to justify expanding to other areas, or if we're going to do those things, that we are communicating that to our residents, to our businesses, so that way they can fully understand that purpose. Thank you for that.
Commissioner Downing. Commissioner Tebby?
Just real quickly, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I live in Latonia. I don't own a business in the area. The residents and businesses impacted kind of what is going to drive my decision on this. I just want to let everybody know, since we don't have an ordinance on the books right now, if you do have concerns, if something comes to mind after the fact, please email us. Email the Board of Commissioners so we could just at least have that feedback there. Based on the conversations today and, going when this was first brought upon, I only heard the negative sides, hearing all the positives from people that are in support of this. I do think this is something that would be beneficial for this area. But once again, ultimately, the decision is going to lie with the residents and business owners here and what I hear back from them. Thank you.
So I have not made up my mind yet. I'm a guy that grew up on West 6th Street, 200 block of West 6th. When, the Oktoberfest and all those things would happen, being on that second floor of that house, and you hear everybody very, very loud, being intoxicated, walking up the street, and to be quite honest with you, using our side yard as a restroom. That's what I remember as a kid, growing up in our city. So if I was for this, it would be that we would be able to pull the plug on it rather quickly if some things like that. So the control would have to be given to the city manager that she could make the decision to shut this thing down rather quickly if it got foolish. I do have a strong concern, like Vice Mayor does, about our businesses, about the 4th Street Bridge closing and the impact that that's going to have on our community. That's a real thing. You know, I am concerned, though, at the same time. Covington is a unique place. A lot of people love coming here and living here and playing here now. Do we need to do this? I'm not sure that we do. But I know that we have to help our businesses survive. You know, there's a reason that we've gotten awards for being the top food and wine in the magazine, in the one of the top 50 cities in the United States. And they always talk about our restaurants. And that's where our bread and butter is, along with our businesses. And those are small businesses. Those aren't chain restaurants. So we have to my opinion, be extremely supportive of our mom and pop businesses, as we have what I call this. It's a good problem to have. It's a very good problem to have. So I look forward to how the final ordinance is drawn, and I'll have input on that ordinance, and we may shrink it a little bit, and we may look at enforcement, and we may look at being able to stop it rather quickly if this thing would get out of hand. Because more than anything, we always have to provide a safe city. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I also wanted to thank everybody in this room for your comments. Oftentimes we, here, we sit up here as your commissioners and as your mayor, but we're your neighbors. We live on your blocks in your neighborhoods, and we love this city as much as you. And it is so powerful to see people raise their hand and to spend their Tuesday night here and give their comments. So I do appreciate that. And whatever we put forward, as has been mentioned by Commissioner Ackery, it will still have more public input as we try to get it right. You've often heard me say I'm the type of person that I do not drive around in circles. I pull over and I ask for directions. And there's many communities in our nation that have done this and done this right. So that's another area that we need to look. So with that, I will invite the room to stay for the rest of our agenda. But if you don't want to, I can understand. And we'll stand in recess for about 5 minutes to let people leave. Thank you. The time is 7:37. With that, do we have any other presentations? Seeing no other presentations, City Manager's report.
None.
Seeing no City Manager's report, items for consideration. Administration Department, Manager, Ms. Reddy.
The Cabinet for Health and Family Services has requested a presentation on importance of needing foster care homes in the area, so they'd like to present to the BOC.
Any questions? Without any objection, consent. Legal Department, Ms. Ellis. Clerk
Good
Ellis.
evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This is a request for an order to change how we are processing our legislative documents. According to the Kentucky Department of Library and Archives, if a document is born digital, remains digital, we do not need to keep physical copies. And currently, since we are physically signing our legislation, that's requiring us to keep those physical copies even though they are digitized. Legislation is a permanent record. Permanent records must be kept forever.
Any questions for the clerk? Seeing none, without objection, consent. ESOM.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I have two items for your consideration this evening. The first item, I'll do the easy one first. I have a request, an order requesting authorization to purchase 60 computers for the police department in light of the Windows 10 end of life. The police department's computers are over 8 years old, and they're well overdue to be upgraded. So requested to make that purchase. The cost for that purchase is $53,752.85, and we would be doing this through our cooperative purchasing agreement with Sourcewell.
Any questions for ESOM? Is this already in our budget?
Yes, this was an item requested during the budget cycle last spring.
This is the third.
Yeah. So just you know, on the air form, it shows that it's not a budgeted item. You know, if you look at that, so we kind of got to be careful of that.
Okay. Yeah, it was a scrivener's error.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for ESOM? Seeing none, without objection, consent. AI.
Okay. And the second item I have for your consideration is an order requesting adoption of the city's first artificial intelligence and governance policy with prevalence of artificial intelligence, specifically generative AI tools, becoming part of the fabric of just everyday life, and now really seeing it being adopted by our employees. AI is going to be a more common thing in our society, and it's going to be something that we, as a city, will be heavily investing in the future. A lot of our systems and tools are integrating this technology, and we need a way to use these resources or use this new technology ethically and with the proper governance. So this policy establishes rules for how we do that, how we use AI in the city, and how we govern it in the future.
Any questions for ESOM on that? Commissioner Downing.
The policy within the city, the official policy, that is, I applaud this movement here. If, as a follow-up to this, once this is established and it is on the books, if you could work with our HR department to make sure that the policy is written in layman's terms for staffs, that way they fully understand what limitations that they have and how they're able to engage with AI on using city equipment.
Absolutely, yeah. We're hopefully looking to, this policy will establish the framework for us to do training as well.
Yep.
So we definitely want to train staff and show them how to use this ethically and responsibly.
Yeah, I apologize. Finer point, if you can establish a timeline for when that will be, whether that's December or January or how that you expect that to transpire, just let us know.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Esam, do you think you can make a presentation on our AI program by next week, or can we? Because this is a bigger deal that we're trying to pull off here in city government. I think the Board of Commissioners need to kind of be tuned into what it is. So if you can't do it next week, I don't think this necessarily holds this policy up, but I think a presentation is warranted.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I had a presentation planned actually for this evening, but for the sake of time, I felt it would be better to do it next week.
Well,
so I was going to request if we can have a presentation to introduce the city's AI initiative after this, or in consideration of this policy.
Okay, if you could just work on the schedule. I think the only one that would like to see you do the presentation right now.
I could do it right now.
Well, is Bree with her 8:27 time?
Yeah, right. I got 9 o'clock, so.
You got 9. Okay. Okay, no other questions? Without objection, consent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Legal Department, Mr. Schultz.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. For your consideration is an agreement with a foreclosure law firm to facilitate the 12 foreclosures that were already approved by this Board of Commissioners several weeks ago.
Any questions for Mr. Schultz? Seeing none, without objection, consent.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Human Resource Department Director Lewis.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I have 2 items for your consideration this evening. The first is an order accepting the resignation of Officer Lucas Mann. This would be effective September 30th.
Any questions for Director Lewis? Seeing none, without objection, consent.
Second is an order approving the hire of Robert Fain. He will be a police officer in the Police Department effective November 2nd.
Any questions? Seeing none, without objection, consent. Thank you, ma'am. Public Works Department Director Bales.
Good evening. Tonight I have AIRs requesting purchases of 4 vehicles plus upfitting, all paid for out of the FETFAL fund. My apologies, the default on the AIRs for budget is no, and it wasn't changed to yes, but these are all budgeted for. The first one is a request to purchase a 2026 Ford F-350 at the amount of $56,600.
Any questions on that one? Seeing none, without objection, consent.
Second is for the upfit for the F-350. Upfit generally consists of lighting, plows, salt spreaders, sometimes dump beds for the larger trucks.
Any questions? Seeing none, without objection, consent.
Next is a request for the purchase of 2 Ford F-550 cabs and chassis at an amount of $73,850 each.
Any questions? Seeing none, without objection, consent.
Next is a request for the upfit for both of the F-550s at $58,595 each.
Any questions? Seeing none, without objection, consent.
Next is a request to purchase a 2026 Freightliner truck at a cost of $118,678.
Any questions? Seeing none, without objection, consent.
Next is a request for the upfitting at a total cost of $127,450.
Any questions? Seeing none, without objection, consent.
Last agenda item is a request for the appointment of Mechanic Brian Watts to the position of Technician 3 in the Parks and Facilities Division effective 10/29.
Any questions? Seeing none, without objection, consent.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Economic Development Director West.
I had 7:57, so I'll go quickly. What I have here is a request for an order authorizing the mayor to sign an MOU with a number of partners in the community. Recently, the General Assembly changed the rules regarding the issuance of industrial revenue bonds for multifamily residential. And what this effectively means is that the city, the county, or the Port Authority would be able to issue industrial revenue bonds for a project and would no longer have to include the other entities in any kind of a pilot agreement. And the mayor brought all of these partners together a while back, and everybody agreed that what we wanted to do in Covington was not especially cut out the schools as well as the other partners. So in bringing everybody together, this MOU was developed, and I want to especially thank Frank, our city solicitor, for putting this agreement together. We do have a schedule for when everyone else is supposed to approve it. I would ask that you all put this on regular for next week if you want to consider it. There's one tiny little wording issue that we have right now that the board has asked for, and that would give us time to work that out between now and next Tuesday.
Regular's fine. Any questions for the director? Regular? Thank you. Madam Clerk, regular, please.
Thank you all.
Okay. Neighborhood Service Department, Caitlin Bryan.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The first item that I have before you tonight is to adopt an ordinance adopting a text amendment to the Neighborhood Development Code related to recovery residences and miscellaneous corrections. This was heard before the Kenton County Planning Commission on October 2nd and had a favorable recommendation.
Any questions for Caitlin? Seeing none, it'll go next week for its first reading.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
The second item for us?
And the second item is an order authorizing the mayor to accept and sign a grant agreement for the rehabilitation of the Frank Duveneck House and Studio. Again, to authorize and execute any and all grant documents, and this is a grant agreement with the U.S. Department of the Interior in the amount of $300,000.
Any questions for Ms. Bryan? Seeing none, without objection, consent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Finance Department Director Gaffney.
Hello, Mayor and Commissioners. This is going to be the longest budget presentation you've ever seen.
This person's serious when they want to win. I just wish I wish the chair could get in on the time. Thank you.
I'm taking my time passes out.
Don't take too much time there, Bree. I've got 8:25. So.
Sorry, we're splitting it in the middle.
Fair enough. Good? All right. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. For your consideration this evening, I have a mid-year budget amendment, which covers the general fund, the ARPA fund, and the self-insurance fund. You have the new information there. Basically, we're looking for an additional $3.3 million. That's broken down as such. General fund is $622,126 in non-personnel costs. The personnel costs total $444,680. You can run to expenditures and jump around a little bit. The ARPA fund totals $2 million even, and the self-insurance fund is $250,000. So basically this covers both unbudgeted things that have come up so far during the course of the year, as well as budget items that did not make the final fiscal year 26 budget for some reason or another. Basically, it works out that $2 million of this comes from the ARPA fund balance, which stands at about $7 million. And the other $1.3 million actually comes pretty much in full from $1.4 million that we received from maturing investments. So realistically, at this point in the fiscal year, all of these expenditures are covered by city funds.
Any questions on this? I know that many of the members have had meetings with the finance director and the budget director and the city manager, and a lot of those questions probably answered in those one-on-one meetings. Okay. Without objection, this will be an ordinance, and it'll have its first reading next week. Okay?
Thank you all.
Okay.
Okay, we are also introducing a second ordinance tonight authorizing the issuance of the city's 2025A general obligation refunding bonds. The purpose is to refund the 2020 lease obligation tied to the IRS site, which is now the CCR Riverfront project. And we do have Megan from our bond counsel here, so she is now going to talk to us about this for almost 30 minutes, if you're open to it.
I was actually told I wasn't needed here today. I wanted to be here for the common consumption area presentation, and I offered to stick around, but I'm happy to try to answer any questions that anyone has.
Okay. No questions. Thank you, though. Okay. Okay, without objection, next week, this will have its first reading also. Okay? Thank you. And looking at the agenda, next week also, there'll be a second reading of ordinance concerning the creating of the Transportation Improvement District. Next item on the agenda is commission discussion. Is there any commissioner discussion items? Commissioner comments? Downey, Commissioner Downey.
Just a note. Whenever you have an idea that you bring to life and you put it out in the public eye, I think that deserves some kudos. And I know that Commissioner Ackery, whether you're for or against it, this job is often a thankless one, and I know that he's worked very hard to make sure that he's interacting with members of the public to get as much input as he possibly can. So kudos to you. I appreciate all the energy and the effort that you're putting into making this a prosperous and successful city.
Okay. Any other commissioner comments?
I feel like I got to go back now and give him a compliment.
You really don't.
We're going to hug. We'll hug after the meeting. We're fine.
Okay. So moving on to my comments, it was a very eventful weekend Saturday. Hats off to our recreation department at Randolph Park. We had bouncy houses and free pizzas and free rides, and we had many kids there, and our recreation department threw a heck of a Halloween bash, and it was supported by so many other departments, police and fire and public works, so my hat goes off to them. Also, I want to mention the Latonia Business Association had their Halloween block party, and they literally spent about $2,000 on candy, and they ran out of candy. It's a well-attended event, and it's supported by a lot of volunteers, and our economic development team's also involved in that. So it was a long weekend for a lot of our staff members. So I thank everyone for participating in our community to come out to those events. So with that, we are adjourned.